Hey guys, welcome back to Detail Garage. Today we have a BMW M6, and it's not any BMW M6. This has a V10 twin supercharged engine. So this car produces about 800 plus horses and can go to speeds of 240 plus miles per hour. So with all that speed, you're gonna need some serious braking power, and that's why we have these 380 millimeter Brembo big brakes. So these brakes produce so much heat that, you know, any kind of protectant that can get on them will go away and diminish, and it also generates a lot of brake dust. Brembos, traditionally, they don't generate a lot of brake dust, but these do because of the speeds that it hits and because of the amount of force that is going through them. So all that brake dust kind of makes its way into the wheel wells here, makes its way into the suspension, makes the strut, the caliper, and the wheel back here. So we have the car lifted up so we can take the wheel off so we can properly clean the wheel. And we're gonna show you guys how to detail these type of engine, I'm sorry, not the engine, these type of wheel wells. This video is more inclined for the more advanced detailer or the enthusiast rather than the beginner detailer, because not everybody can get a car jacked up, especially, you know, have it jacked up the right way, take the wheel off. So this is more inclined for more advanced detailing. And also, this is something that you don't want to do at home unless you know exactly what you're doing. So if you don't know what you're doing, or if you have any doubts, just let a professional do it. This is something you don't want to take on, especially with a vehicle like this. It's very expensive, but it can also be very dangerous, and your life is worth more than money. So with that being said, I'm going to show you guys the tools that we're going to be using. Diablo Wheel Gel cleaner, it's a good pH cleaner, encapsulates the dirt particles. So for sensitive areas such as the calipers here, we have the strut, and we have a few sensors back here that we don't want to damage, so this is perfect for that. We have our degreaser. Our degreaser will get in these wheel wells. It will take out a lot of the nasty dirt particles in there. And we have our EcoSmart afterwards, so we can neutralize the orange degreaser. Usually we use EcoSmart to clean the surface of the vehicle, but it also works good to as an alternative for water. Obviously we can't get water in here. We also have our bare bones. Bare bones is going to address this. It's going to make this nice and dark again. It's going to make it look good as new. And I'm going to show you guys a trick how to make this last really long. And of course I have a little bit of water. I'll show you guys why I'm going to be using water. And this is also deionized water, so this water is filtered. There's no calcium in it whatsoever. And I have our detailing brush. Our detailing brush is going to be used to get into the caliper right here. So the first area I want to focus on are the areas that I see that need attention right away. And the first areas that I see are the strut right here and this stainless steel hose right here. So this is what you see is a buildup of brake fluid. So this brake fluid possibly could have gone on the surface when it had its brakes bled, and brake fluid is very viscosic. For those of you who don't know what viscosic means, when you have a viscosic fluid, it means it absorbs water. So because it absorbs water, it needs to be sealed off right away. So usually technicians, they when they work on these brakes, they close them real fast, at least these little valves and all these nuts right here. So not much of it spills out, and they wipe it right away, but because it's viscosic, it will eat up any kind of painted surface or area. So if I were to get any of that brake fluid on the actual caliper itself, it'll eventually eat the surface of the caliper and damaging it and harming it. So it's very important to have these areas cleaned off. But I can see that there's no damage, and even so this is billet aluminum right here, so this can withstand that viscosic fluid. But either way, we have that buildup right here, and all this buildup is technically brake particles that have been stuck onto the viscosic fluid. So a quick way to clean that is using our degreaser. Guys, ready? So now that I spray that, let's spray some on my brush. This is the best detailing brush. Yeah, it's great for getting into those cracks and crevices. These little hairs can get into the threads right here. It could get rid of some of the debris. This is a rock that got kicked up from the track, possibly from the street. So now that you let it sit in, just want to agitate it. So I'm using our Orange Series degreaser, and this degreaser works great. And I'm showing you guys how to do this without using any water because if you're inside a shop or something, you don't have access to water, or at least you don't want to be using water inside of a shop because it can get dangerous. You have water and oil and water mixing up, so it could be dangerous. So a lot of people, this is an alternative to using water. All right. So you can see a lot of the dirt is being knocked loose. I can use as much orange degreaser as I want. I'm getting rid of a lot of that dirt, a lot of that brake fluid buildup. So we're almost done cleaning off this strut right here. And in case you guys are wondering, I'm using the Signature Series Orange Degreaser. I'm using it 6-to-1 ratio, so it's not overpoweringly strong. It's not going to damage any of the components. And I can feel safe having it sit here for a while I'm brushing and agitating all the brake fluid and all the loose dirt. So now I'm using our EcoSmart. EcoSmart, we're not going to be using it to pick up dirt per se. We're using it more as a neutralizer for the degreaser, because the degreaser could actually harm some of these rubber hoses right here and some of these sensors. So you don't want to have that sitting on there for too long. So we're using EcoSmart to neutralize that. And EcoSmart has the added benefit of picking up a lot of the dirt particles. It does encapsulate it, so you're killing two birds with one stone here. Just kind of use it to rinse down. All right, beautiful. So I'm gonna grab a microfiber towel, rip off the tag. Yeah. And there you go. It's pretty easy. You can see all the nasty stuff I'm still picking up off the strut right here. This car has seen a few track days, so I wouldn't be surprised to see any more rocks or any kind of miscellaneous surprises like this piece of grass that got stuck on here. So, I mean, that's going to be normal when cleaning up suspension components and, these wheel wells. Anything that's on the road could potentially end up under here. But as you can see, it's already a huge improvement of how it looked like before. I mean, that's huge right there. All right. So we already got this nice and clean. I'm not really worried about drying it off too much because it's probably going to get wet again. Reason being, you can see when I use the EcoSmart, it darkened up the wheel well a little bit. It actually makes it look good, but that's all it's doing. It's just darkening it up. It's not actually cleaning off any of the dirt or filth. Pretty sure it picked up a few of those dirt particles off, but there's still a lot of stuff that's worked into there. So again, our orange degreaser, spray it down inside the wheel well. All right, perfect. Now that I saturated the inside of it, you can see it's pulling off a lot of the dirt particles. And you really want to have it sit on there so it can really work its way in through these piece of plastic right here. All these fender liners right here are made out of plastic, especially BMW ones. And these are actually very porous. So a lot of this dirt did make its way inside, and the only thing that can pull that out is a degreaser such as Orange Series degreaser. All right, so now the next step is agitation. Just spray a little bit degreaser on my flag tip brush. Just kind of start scrubbing the inside. You can see it's black. It's dirty. It's probably one of the dirtiest things you guys can do in detailing, next to any kind of metal work or metal cleaning. Little control arm back here. yeah, as you can see, it's just going to get very, very dirty very fast. Like I said, a lot of this is the buildup around the fender wells. So I hit it once, I'm going to hit it again. See if I missed anything. All right, perfect. Want to do it again? Did you get it, Matt? Are you getting it? Yeah. This is all the nastiness that's been inside these wheel wells right here. So now that the wheel well has been, you know, decontaminated, so to say, it's time to really knock everything off. And like I said, we need to neutralize it. And we're going to neutralize it using our EcoSmart here. So with this EcoSmart, I'm going to just go crazy and just go everywhere, hit every little crack and crevice that I brushed, every surface inside this wheel well. So you'll see a lot of the nastiness fall off. And a few more pumps. This atomizer pump is perfect for jobs like this. All right, so now it's time to clean off the inside of the fenders here. It feels very slick. It's not necessarily as sticky or as tacky as it felt like before. See, I'm not really pulling out that much dirt. I am pulling out dirt, but not as much as I first did, or as much as this puddle down here. Control arm bushing. We'll flip to a clean side. Little caliper carrier back here. Make sure to clean off all these stainless steel hoses. And then the very last thing that I'm clean is the actual strut itself. So the secret to getting bare bones to really get in there really well is to make sure this surface is completely dry. A lot of people like to use it and just spray it on there. It'll work, but it'll probably go away. The effect will go away pretty fast. Reason being is because this surface is very porous. So when you already have some kind of material in here, when you put bare bones over it, you're just kind of coating it. And since bare bones is an oil-based dressing, it will penetrate it, but it's not going to penetrate it all the way. So what you want to do is you want to do all your prep work. You want to make sure the surface is clean, which this is definitely clean, and it's dry. I mean, this is dry to the touch. It's not wet at all. This is the natural look of it, but this is gonna make it look really dark. And if I start spraying it on, I want to let bare bones sit on here so it can properly work its way into the material itself. So now the next step is to let the bare bones sit in, and in order for me to properly let it sit in, I'm gonna get an old microfiber like this one. This is the dirty one we just used. I'm just gonna gently wipe. I'm not necessarily taking it off. I'm mostly doing this to really help the bare bones sit in, and so it gets a nice thin coverage. the whole fender liner. So I don't get nasty little drip marks. I'm doing this more as an applicator type ordeal here. All right, perfect. And another reason why it's always wise to wipe with an old microfiber and just to properly level it out is so, as you can see, or as you probably saw already, there was a few drip marks. The last thing you want is for uneven coverage, and you're gonna have these drip marks make their way through. So this eliminates that problem and properly coats the fender liner here. So you want to set this, you want to let this sit in for maybe about 5 to 10 minutes, just so it can probably work its way in there pretty good. I'm gonna let it sit for maybe 10 minutes or so, and then after 10 minutes I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna wipe off the excess and you'll see the results. So we're back and the bare bones has dried. It's been about 10 minutes or so. So now just grab a microfiber towel and start wiping off any excess, any drippings that may have accumulated. I'm not really picking up much, so I did a really good job of really getting in there, but I do see some spots. Just looks like condensation, just very, very fine little droplets, which is perfect because that means those pores are saturated and they're filled in with bare bones. So that's the secret of making it last a long time. Secret is to use a degreaser to get in there, decontaminate, work out all that dirt. Once you work out all that dirt, the reason I use orange degreaser is because it dries out, degreaser will dry out any kind of plastic, and that's essentially what we're doing. We're drying it out, we're taking out those dirt particles, and we're preparing the surface for it to be, re-moisturized with bare bones. Since, like I said, since bare bones is an oil-based dressing, it's gonna get in there, it's gonna really penetrate and lock in there. So that's exactly what we're doing here. Right. This is the only thing I am going to use water for, just to clean off my brush. Just wring out all that filth. All right, perfect. So the next step is Diablo, and we're going to use Diablo on the caliper here. We're going to use Diablo because it's pH balanced. It's going to encapsulate the dirt particles, lift them up off the caliper here. So it's a little hard to see, so I'm going to take over as cameraman. And I am going to now saturate it. Right, now that I've knocked off a lot of the dirt, next step is to EcoSmart, which is going to displace us using water to really get in there. All right. Now, in case people are wondering, Diablo is perfect for these brake pads and any kind of brake components. I know a lot of people have questions about using Diablo or are kind of skeptical about using this on calipers. It's fine to use. It's not going to interfere with the anti-seize in between the actual piston and the brake pad itself. There's anti-seize there, so it doesn't move or creak when you brake. At least that's what it's intended for. A lot of people I know when they get new brake pads, they always wonder what that silver liquid is. That's anti-seize, and if your car does have it, and you're actually one of the few people that use it and use it the way it's intended to, this isn't going to interfere with it, so it's not going to knock it off. All right, so the next step is to dry off the caliper. Caliper seems pretty good. Tear that off. Now, I'm debating whether or not I should clay bar this caliper. The reason being, I want to prepare the surface so I can protect it. Possibly going to use jet seal, if not maybe even carbon flex. I think I'll probably shoot for the carbon flex. It's a high-end car, so I want to put a high-end coating protection. And carbon flex is one of the very few coating systems, if not the only one, that could take the high heat from this braking system and from this rotor. So in order for us to put carbon flex, we got to make sure the surface is immaculate. So in order to make sure it's immaculate, I got to make sure it's smooth. And the only thing that could do that is a clay bar to have the surface be perfectly smooth. All right, so I'll take my glove off. The surface actually feels really smooth. You know, it's actually really smooth. I don't think I need to really clay bar. Yeah, as far as I can feel, it's really smooth, it's clean. So I think I'm gonna just proceed and use the carbon flex. Now, remember, these calipers are painted. They do have a nice clear coat over them. So if your brakes don't have any kind of paint or clear coat over them, I wouldn't necessarily recommend using carbon flex. Usually on high-end vehicles like this or high-end braking systems, they have them painted and they do have a clear coat. So I do recommend using carbon flex for that. Jet seal is another good alternative too, but I personally like using carbon flex because it's going to make this really shine and it's going to really protect it. So when you have that brake dust, it's not going to necessarily get in there and ruin the finish. It'll actually resist against the heat, and it's going to deflect a lot of the brake dust. All right, so the last step is to carbon flex these calipers, and I'll take off my gloves for that and take out our carbon flex. This fancy packaging. Now, it's important to make sure before you start carbon flexing to make sure this pad is unused, brand new. Now we're only using this micro suede. All right. Now that we have that off, a nice even line. Start going over the area you want to protect. So this area is a little bit tricky, and I'm going to do something that I normally wouldn't recommend doing, but this is a little bit of a tricky area to do. As you can see, this pad is not going to necessarily get in these grooves, so I'll do something a little bit different. I'll drop the foam pad, and I'm going to use my finger, and I can actually feel the carbon flex through it, so I'll be sure to wash my hands afterwards. But my finger can glide. I can feel the carbon flex going in. And not only that, I can actually feel it with my finger as I trace back over the areas that I already did, and I feel it getting a lot smoother already. So I know this carbon flex is definitely working its magic around these pistons here. So again, I would not advise doing this unless you absolutely have to. I'm carefully making my way through these little crevices and all these grooves. So that it's really hard to get a foam applicator or any kind of applicator at that to get in these areas. And the only thing that could really get in there is my finger. So, like I said, normally I wouldn't advise doing this, but this is a very difficult and gray area, and this is the only way that I feel you can properly apply carbon flex onto this caliper. All right, so now it's on there. Carbon flex has a drying time of probably 5 to 10 minutes. I'm gonna allow maybe around 6 minutes or so for this to dry. Then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna buff off the excess. So it's been about 6 minutes, and now it's time for us to wipe off the excess carbon flex on this. So let's get a microfiber towel. And I feel the surface a lot slicker than it was before. And always something to remember, once you finish wiping off carbon flex with a microfiber towel, you want to chuck the towel and not use it again. Reason being, Carbon Flex is a coating, and it does harden up the surface. Of course, Carbon Flex is a little bit more flexible, but once you have that Carbon Flex on the fibers of the microfiber towel, it could turn it hard. It's the exact same reason why these micro suedes that we do include with Carbon Flex, that's why they're a one-time use thing, because they are going to harden up and you can't use them again. So just remember to keep that in mind when using Carbon Flex. But yeah, that's the caliper is nice and protected. This kind of sums up our little detail here. The wheel wells are clean, the strut's clean, stainless steel brake lines are clean. We cleaned the sensor lines as well. We cleaned the inner rotor. This is going to clean itself once you hit the brakes. But that's all it really takes to clean it. It just takes a lot of time. It doesn't take that much, effort really. It just takes more knowledge, and also it takes a little bit of expertise. We understand that not many people can raise their car, dismount the wheel and do everything manually. We do it just to educate you guys, and we do it because this is something that we love to do. We're passionate about vehicles, and we definitely want to show you guys how to clean vehicles like this and how to do it the right way. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have over 850 videos showing you just to do about anything. We'll see you next time. Anything you want.
Anything you want, man.